Dr. Marcus Webb had spent 12 years in the Kepler Mining Collective's indentured servitude program. His medical license stripped and his freedom sold to pay off astronomical student debts. The asteroid belt medical stations were humanity's version of exile places, where broken doctors treated broken miners far from civilized space. He thought he'd seen every form of corporate cruelty until Administrator Hendricks walked into his clinic with the cage. "Congratulations, Webb," Hendricks said, his smile carrying the casual malice of a man who'd never faced consequences for his actions. "The board of directors has decided to reward your adequate performance with a little entertainment." The cage was roughly 2 meters square, its bars crackling with suppression fields that made Marcus's medical scanners whine in protest. Inside, huddled in the far corner, was something that made his breath catch in his throat. She was humanoid, but clearly not human, with pale blue skin that seemed to shift between translucent and opaque, and large eyes that held depths of intelligence and pain that no sentient being should endure. Her limbs were twisted at unnatural angles, clearly broken and improperly healed multiple times. What looked like neural interface ports had been crudely grafted into her skull, their edges infected and weeping. "Zephyrian pleasure slave," Hendricks explained casually, as if discussing mining equipment. "Captured during the Proxima raids. Quite expensive, but the board thought you deserved some. She's been trained for entertainment, though she's a bit damaged. Still functional, though." Marcus stared at the administrator, feeling something cold and dangerous coiling in his chest. "Get out of my clinic." "Excuse me?" "I said, get out. Now." Hendricks' expression darkened. "Doctor, I think you misunderstand your position here. You're indentured property, just like she is. The board has decided how you'll spend your off-duty hours, and—" Marcus's fist connected with Hendricks' jaw with the solid impact of 12 years of suppressed rage. The administrator dropped like a sack of ore, his keycard clattering across the clinic floor. "ARIA, lock down the medical bay," Marcus commanded, activating the clinic's emergency protocols. "Medical emergency in progress. No access without my authorization." The artificial intelligence acknowledged with its usual calm tone. "Lockdown initiated, Dr. Webb. Shall I alert security?" "Negative. Patient confidentiality protocols are in effect." Marcus approached the cage slowly, his hands visible and empty. The Zephyrian pressed herself further into the corner, her large eyes tracking his movement with the hypervigilance of someone who had learned that every approach meant pain. "My name is Marcus," he said softly, switching to the universal medical dialect that most spacefaring species understood. "I'm a doctor. I want to help you." She didn't respond, but he could see her bio readings on his scanner: elevated stress hormones, multiple systemic infections, severe malnutrition, and neural damage that suggested months of deliberate torture disguised as training. The cage's lock required Hendricks' biometric signature, but Marcus had spent years learning to work around corporate security systems. 20 minutes with a medical laser and some careful circuit manipulation, and the suppression field flickered off. The Zephyrian didn't move. "You're safe," Marcus said, keeping his voice level and professional. "I'm not going to hurt you. Can you understand me?" A barely perceptible nod. "My scanner shows you have multiple fractures, infections, and neural trauma. I can treat all of that, but I need your permission. Do you consent to medical treatment?" Another tiny nod, followed by something that might have been a whisper, "Please." What followed was the most challenging surgery of Marcus's career. Zephyrian physiology was radically different from human biology. Their bones were crystalline matrices that required specific mineral treatments to heal properly. Their nervous system operated on quantum frequencies that human medical equipment could barely detect, and their cellular structure responded to treatments that would kill most other species. Marcus worked for 36 hours straight, using every piece of equipment in the clinic, and several techniques that were definitely not approved by any medical board. He reset fractures that had healed wrong, cleared infections that had spread to organ systems, and carefully extracted the neural interface implants that had been slowly destroying her higher brain functions. The most difficult part was earning her trust. She flinched at every movement, expected pain with every touch, and repeatedly tried to position herself for what she clearly thought was inevitable abuse. Marcus found himself talking constantly during the procedures, explaining everything he was doing, asking permission for each intervention, and gradually watching the hypervigilance in her eyes give way to something resembling hope. "My name is Lyra," she whispered on the second day, her voice like crystals chiming in a gentle wind. I was a xenobiologist. Before 4. You still are," Marcus replied, carefully adjusting the regeneration matrix around her left arm. "Whatever they did to you, whatever they made you do, that doesn't change who you are." By the third day, security was pounding on the clinic doors. Marcus had used his emergency medical authority to maintain the lockdown, but Administrator Hendricks had recovered enough to demand entry. The corporation was threatening to revoke Marcus's limited medical license and extend his indenture indefinitely. "They'll take me back," Lyra said, fear creeping back into her voice as the pounding intensified. "No," Marcus said firmly. "They won't." He'd spent the last day researching galactic medical law and sending carefully worded communications to the Zephyrian embassy. What the Kepler Mining Collective had done, enslaving a sentient being for entertainment, violated 17 different interspecies treaties. The problem was proving it, and proving it before corporate security broke down the doors. The solution came from an unexpected source. ARIA, the clinic's AI, had been recording everything as part of standard medical documentation. When Marcus accessed the files, he found detailed evidence of systematic torture, illegal medical procedures, and corporate-sanctioned slavery. ARIA transmit all medical records to the following recipients: Zephyrian Embassy, Terran Medical Ethics Board, and the Galactic Criminal Court. Priority transmission. Transmission complete, Dr. Webb. The pounding on the doors stopped abruptly. Within hours, Zephyrian diplomatic vessels arrived in the Kepler system. Within days, the mining collective's corporate charter was revoked and its executives arrested. Within weeks, Marcus found himself testifying before a galactic tribunal that would set precedents for the treatment of sentient beings throughout human space. Lyra recovered slowly but completely. Her natural Zephyrian healing abilities, once freed from constant re-traumatization, proved remarkably resilient. More importantly, her spirit returned the quick intelligence, gentle humor, and fierce determination that had made her a respected xenobiologist before her capture. "I don't understand," she said to Marcus as they watched the corporate executives being led away in restraints. "You risked everything for someone you didn't know. Your career, your freedom, your life. Why?" Marcus thought about the question for a long time. "Because that's what doctors do. We heal. And sometimes, healing means risking everything to do what's right." The Zephyrian Embassy offered Marcus a position as Chief Medical Officer for Interspecies Relations, working to develop treatment protocols for species traumatized by human corporate brutality. His student debts were forgiven as part of the legal settlement, and his medical license was not only restored, but enhanced with xenobiological specializations. More importantly, he'd proven something to himself that 12 years of corporate servitude had nearly destroyed, that compassion was stronger than cruelty, that healing was more powerful than profit, and that sometimes one person's choice to do the right thing could change everything. They had given him a broken girl as entertainment. Instead, he had discovered that healing her had healed something broken inside himself as well.